more. Okay. Okay, 2 minutes and counting. So that was a good question last time, Candy, and I hope we addressed it in my text.
Yes. Yes. I mean, the whole time you were talking, I just kept thinking, there are day-to-day times, right, especially now where, things seem rather hopeless.
That was a good question last time, Candy. Yeah, let me get rid of it. Let me stop it. Oh, this is
Hello.
yeah, no, it's just hello, hello.
Yes. I mean, the whole time you were talking, I just kept thinking, there are
Hello, Rabbi.
day-to-day times, right, especially now where things seem rather hopeless.
Right, but we'll get past this. I'm just trying to figure out why I'm getting. Oh, I know why. Yeah, I'm just getting. Yeah, I was just getting some reverb. Sorry, everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome. And Lloyd Dreilinger.
Yes.
That has been so long since I've seen you. Welcome.
Yes, hello. Thank you.
So I have people from my Boston life, from my Hartford life. How are you?
I'm good. I'm living in Tel Aviv.
I don't know what.
Wow.
Why?
How many years have you been in Eretz Yisrael?
Oh, about 12 years.
That's absolutely amazing. Okay, well, it is good to see you.
It's
So
good to hear you.
For you, it's a quick supper and learn, not a lunch and learn.
That's right.
Okay, so we begin in 1 minute. We try to stay on time here. Just going to do a bunch of shares in my remaining minute, and we'll go. Okay, post. And post. And one more. And we go. Okay. And I'm going to put up the Parsha in a second. Okay, we are at 12:30. I think we have one more person coming in over here. Good. Okay.
Zai?
Yeah,
Did
can
you
you
take
hear me,
your envelope?
Sylvia? Are you on?
Where is it? I left
Okay,
it under her
Sylvia's on.
telephone. You see it? Okay.
Okay, and again, if you want, you can mute yourself and unmute whenever you want to. And here we are now going to bring up the Parsha. Oh, Joe is here. Okay, so so it says that Lloyd, it says that the air of Israel makes one wiser. So we should have a very, very wise person here after all the years in Israel. I have a son in Israel now, actually.
Oh, really?
Moshe is in his first year of post-high school yeshiva in Kiryat Gat.
Okay.
So I even have family in Israel now.
Yeah, well, that's a high-tech area these days.
Yes, it is. And I think, some of the people who come there to study and daven and all that. So here we have the Tanakh, and here we have, we're already up to Shemos, and here we have, we're going to go to Va'era, and Sharon will be business of Va'era, and today is Tuesday. Okay, and I'm going to do a new share. Okay, welcome everyone. Old and new friends, we're beginning. So what we do here is, first of all, I take requests. So if anyone wants to message me or send an email or drop me a text in the future as to what you want to talk about in the Parsha, I'm more than happy to do so. Yesterday, we addressed a question that our good friend Joe raised, and we can watch it on recording. And now, after
you
God
get me-
tells Moshe, "Hey, patience,"
Guy,
yeah, I'm sorry,
you
yes.
get me a couple of candies from there.
Also, so what we have here is you have this this conversation, this ongoing conversation in God and Moses, where Moses says, "I don't want the job." Then Moses says, "Now things are worse. They have to get their own straw." And then God tells Moshe, "Listen, there's a plan here." And we talked about yesterday, the part of the plan had to do with the question of justice. That until Egypt reached that point of moral no return, it wasn't yet time to, as if it were, to bring down the hammer on them. So now that this happens, because Pharaoh had the option, and this is something we mentioned, this Forno said, we talked about it yesterday, Pharaoh had the option to listen to what Moshe is saying without being under duress, out of finding some scintilla of decency left in him, but he didn't. So this is where we are. So Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, "I am Hashem." And we discussed last week the significance of this yesterday name of God. "Speak to Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, everything that I'm going to tell you." And Moshe responds, "But I am of impeded speech. How then should Paro heed me?" In other words, he says, look, and again, this impeded speech idea has two concepts. One is that he conceivably, physically, Moshe had a speech impediment, but also that it was hard for Moshe to sort of lower his discourse to dealing with a Pharaoh. Moses was someone, he had spent now who knows how many years in the desert meditating on profound truths, and it was hard for him to deal with Pharaoh. That's what the mystics say. But at any rate, so Hashem says to Moshe, "I place you in the role." It says here God, but that's not what Rashi and most of the commentators say. A better translation is Elohim doesn't just mean God. It can mean ruler, judge, power. It says, "I'm making you a judge to Pharaoh." In other words, you will read Pharaoh the riot act as if it were. And when he refuses to do the right thing, you will be my vehicle for bringing judgment and punishment upon it. And Aaron, your brother, will be your prophet. Again, I want to go back to the theme we talked about yesterday, Elohim, which means power, which is often used in judge, not as God, but as judge. God is saying, look, yes, the Egyptians are bad. Yes, the children of Israel need redeeming. But this will all be with fair warning and with justice. God is fundamentally just, even to people who've messed up tremendously. And this theme of justice and warning and fairness is a subtext that we often miss because of all the fireworks and all the special effects. But it's really important that there's a fundamental justice in God's mind to every human being on the face of this earth, even if we don't like what they're doing. Ata tadaber es kol asher tzaveka. So you will repeat everything I command you, and Aaron, your brother, will speak to Paro, and in the end, he'll tell them to send the Jewish people from the land. So this idea of Aaron being the spokesperson, we know that Aaron was mourned even more than Moses, because Aaron was at the deepest and most profound level a people person. Moses saw the big picture. Aaron could get into the nooks and crannies of another person. Aaron could get into the place where another person was, not as he should be, not in the light of the truth, of the ultimate truth, but this person, where they are, what they could handle, and Aaron knew how to sort of bring them up. So by the same token, we say, look, Aaron will know how to speak to Paro in Paro language. You deal with the truth, let Aaron deal with the communication. And in a way, and we find that indeed, so Aaron gets mixed up with the golden calf thing and so on. Aaron, when you were dealing with truth, there's two aspects. One is the source of the truth, which is God. but the other is the ability to receive and absorb the truth. And there's an old Yiddish saying, "Man darf allemal sagen de emes, aber nicht alle emes darf man sagen auf einmal." You must always tell the truth, but you don't have to tell the whole truth all at once, because people can't always handle it. And it's this dichotomy between sympathy and love and understanding for the recipient, and a understanding of the ultimate truth, and the ability to, for lack of, pardon the word from finance, but to create arbitrage between them is what Moshe and Aaron, why they made such a good team. And you know, the prophets discuss Miriam also when they talk about taking the Jews out of Egypt, because Miriam primarily was able to support the women who had the much greater burden, as we discussed in the past and we'll discuss again. Anyways, then he says, "Ani akshes leiv paro," I will harden Pharaoh's heart, "v'hirbeiti et ototai v'et muftai beretz Mitzrayim," and I will make great my signs and wonders in the lands of Egypt. Again, the translation here isn't the best, but it's a good screen. So I will harden Pharaoh's heart. So again, we spoke about this in the past, but the Sforno's approach, which is that I'm hardening Pharaoh's heart, I'm going to make Pharaoh, I'm not going to allow his troubles to change his mind. He'll have to change his mind because he wants to choose the right thing. I'm going to make him impervious to the suffering of Egypt in order that he choose the right thing, because it's the right thing if he'll do it. Because it doesn't say I'm going to stop Pharaoh from choosing. I'm going to make his heart hard. In other words, he's ultimately going to have to make a moral decision. This is Sforno's approach, and certainly at this point, I like that approach. And I will make my signs and most. So an oath, a sign, means to say, you know, it's like a signature, right? You know, if anyone remembers the very ancient, silent films, you had this hero Zorro, the mark of Zorro, wherever he went, you know, and dealt with an evil person, you know, he left the slash, you know, the Z's. So this is the same idea. A sign is where you know that someone was here. So the signs are the way in which God says, hey, I'm peeling back the veil of nature. Yes, I am within nature, but nature is just another word for stuff that I do on a regular basis. So I'm making a sign, I'm signing my name to let you know that God is the fundamental source and fabric of the universe. That's one type of sign and miracle. Moftai literally means either wonders, or it means, or in later Hebrew, it means a proof. So the ones are the things that are as if it were the actual destruction of Egypt, the actual impact of the plague. The sign is the way in which the plague happens, because obviously God could act completely in nature. Some of the plagues are more natural, some are more supernatural. So I'm saying, look, I'm going to have the impact. I'm going to crack the Egyptians and make them let you out. I'm going to break them. On the other hand, I'm going to do it in a way that the world can see, because to the extent that there was communication, the eyes of the world, Egypt was the most central and visited place of the world at the time. It was the most advanced civilization at the time. So I'm going to show a sign, but I'm also going to attain my goal. So the oath is the way God does it. The mofet is the actual impact. But Pharaoh will not listen to you, and I'll lay my hand upon Egypt, and I'll take my hosts, my nation, the children of Israel from the land of Egypt, b'shvatim gedolim, with extraordinary chastisements, he translates, or extraordinary judgment. Again, this whole concept of judgment, that there's a judgment and a fairness in each step of the process. Now, it's interesting for our last point here, and I'm going to pause 2 minutes before to give people a chance to raise questions and the like. You have here three things: Tzivotai, my hosts, Ami, my nation, and the children of Israel. In other words, there's an army, there's my nation, and there is the children of Israel. So there's the idea that There's the relationship that we have to God as a child to a parent. There's the relationship that we have as a nation. Now, a tzava, an army, typically speaking, you put an army together for a specific purpose. You have a war and the like. So the ami, the nation, refers to the nation and it's every day. The tzivotai is the nation at moments of great crisis. So God says that I am going to give the Jewish people the strength to rise to this crisis, but out of this, because a lot of times we meet people who are really good in crisis, right? There are people who are great military heroes, but they never sort of find their way when the war's over. You know, a lot of very sad stories like that. You know, they are people who rise to great heroism in other ways. They're good at times of crisis. So tzivotai, you're going to leave Egypt the moment of great crisis, but I'm also going to make you my nation. I'm going to give you the ability to create a coherent, ordered, just, holy society. And last of all, the system I'm going to create, because remember, God tells Moses, I'm taking you out of Egypt to bring you to Mount Sinai to receive the Torah. And the third level is the individual, B'nai Yisrael, my children, that I'm gonna take you out of Egypt, as we read in the Haftorah recently, the final redemption. I'll take you out one by one. That I'm going to create a nation in which each individual counts, and in which each individual is a crucial component, and in which the Torah speaks to each individual uniquely. So there is this moment of great crisis. I'm going to take you through what God says. I'm going to make you a coherent, organized nation, but not at the expense of the individual. And all this has to be said here, because the moment of the beginning of the Exodus is the embryonic stage, the DNA, out of which has to grow the entirety of the experience of the Jewish people till Achrit Yamim, till the end of days. So those are some of the thoughts on today's Torah reading, and questions, comments, arguments, complaints.
I would like to make a comment.
Please.
Okay. What we are involved here is strictly, obviously, in the history of the Jews in Egypt at the time. But we also know historically that we were not the only people in Egypt. The best example that I can give what Egypt probably was at the time is like Saudi Arabia today. For every Saudi citizen, there are at least 10 people that are workers that are hired. Some are actually almost like in slavery. And Egypt was that kind of a country. There were many, many workers or many minorities that probably were in Egypt. And we know that even that there was at one time a pharaoh that was really not an Egyptian, really, didn't last that long, but there were many people that were in Egypt and left. Actually, when we left Egypt, there were some other people that were
the mixed multitude. Yeah, okay.
Just a comment.
Oh, okay. No, so that is a comment, and certainly other people benefited. But the point being that the way Hashem takes us out of Egypt, Hashem is telling Moshe, I want you to think about what this people has to be. And the fact that God uses, so in other words, there's the situational, there is the collective and the individual. And I just want to say that what we're saying here is that Judaism is always thinking about balancing these things. There's the situation, but there's the integrity of the nation. We can't allow an emergency to destroy integrity and decency and so on. And last of all, there's the individual. We can't allow the needs of the whole. The individual can't ignore the whole, but we can't allow the needs of the whole to take away from the development and uniqueness of the individual. So I'm just saying that this idea, which is so crucial in Judaism and in Jewish law and in the writings of the prophets, this balance of these three sort of angles of the triangle, begins right here before the Jewish people are even redeemed from Egypt. Anyways, and the Erev, the mixed multitude, that was exactly part of the problem that they had trouble sort of getting with this program. At any rate, Thank you all for joining us. And we meet again Thursday and Friday for this 15-minute get-together. And nice to see you all, in particular my good friend Lloyd was very involved years ago. We did a lot of interesting stuff together in Hartford. And now he has been elevated to the Holy Land. I wish you a tremendous amount of Batzlacha, and come again. It's so great to see you. Take care, everyone. All the best.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thanks
you.
everyone for coming. It's just when you see
Thank
someone
you, Rabbi.
from so long and so far away, get special attention. Take care. Have a great day.
להתראות.
להתראות בקרוב.